All right, everybody, pull out your brackets. The bracketologist is in, Tim Krueger. The morning after Bubba Cunningham shakes up the committee and his school being in the tournament, but he cannot be in the room. It's kind of like that line from Hamilton. But as we led up to this, and now we have a bracket reveal. Now, let's talk results and what the heck happened. Good morning.
How you doing?
Good. How are you doing? How is your fraternity of brothers that do this for a living? How are you feeling after this bracket reveal?
They're all beside themselves.
Really?
Yeah. They just think it's. I mean, if you're going to just take the metrics, just do a computer printout. You'll have the bracket done in 5 minutes. I mean, why watch games? That doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. Just print it out. If you're going to just go metrics.
What was the most egregious occurrence that happened yesterday?
North Carolina in.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to win games. Won one game against the field, one game in quad one.
Do you believe
they had 12 chances?
Yes, they did.
Yeah. 13 actually.
Do you believe when they said it came down to Memphis winning? If UAB wins, North Carolina's out, because that's what basically was revealed last night.
So you asked this question. I asked this question. Hey Gary, what was your thinking behind putting North Carolina in? You answer it with, well, if Memphis would have lost, they'd have been out. What a ridiculous.
Just adding
and then
the
Bubba
fuel.
just goes, well, I wasn't in the room. That's why he brought the vice chairman. Went, here, I'll let him answer because I don't want to lose straight face answer you. It's just ridiculous.
But like he says, like he wasn't in the room. But when you're there and you get to know these people and you talk to these people and you become friendly with these people and you cultivate these relationships, you weren't in the room.
They have dinner together.
Yeah, you might as well have been in the room.
Right.
You've been in the room the entire time.
Bruce won't admit it, but when he was on there, I thought Creighton got kind of a friendly draw. So I mean, friendly seat. So I think it helps. It helps, but in this case, even he's got to know that. Here's the deal: they need to get out of the dark ages and totally. Athletic directors are administrators.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure some are coaches. I'm sure they watch basketball. Yeah, but how focused are you when you have to fly after you're done to Minnesota to fire a guy and then fly back? I mean, how that.
I know they have to do their job, and there's a lot of stuff that's going on in the world of athletic directors
So
today.
I'm not saying don't do it. Have any athletic director. Have a few, but get the Jay Wrights of the world in. Okay,
Bruce
now
Rasmussen
you don't want
come
a
back.
full room of coaches because they have access to ground. You don't want that, but 2 guys. Then get 2. I don't know, call them media guys, but maybe like a Matt Norlander who follows college basketball, does a bracket so he understands the whole process. You couldn't have a Jimmy Dice because he just, he's so SEC or Fran.
Yeah.
And they're great guys and they're good at what they do. I'm just saying, and plus their network's going to want them to work. Then get, it doesn't have to be me, but find a couple bracketologists and throw them in there.
So
and then go with the athletic director. I think you'll have a nice mix.
That would be a nice mix. And we look at the college football committee, but college football is different. You're judging off 12 to 13 games compared to 31 plus. So the metrics work for basketball where it's more eye test for football. But we don't ever talk about the eye test in basketball. No. But if I'm doing the eye test on West Virginia and North Carolina as the season is played out, and we see that, man, the early part of the year means more this year than it seems like it ever has. Like we don't ever have like the committee never says, well, you know what, the eye test, that's a beat down line with football. Basketball, we don't ever hear that, do we?
Yeah. I always say about the eye test, though, if you want to use the eye test, you have to watch every game that team plays, and then every game their opponents play.
And I get that, and that's why they have more.
So it's a little bit, but you can still use it a little bit.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Don't you think that kind of happened with Xavier in North Carolina? Like you can make the argument because the bubble was so weak and the metrics were so close that Xavier winning their last 7 games and then looking really good against Marquette, and then they didn't have Cooper Flagg, but North Carolina coming back, and that game should have gone into overtime. Like, you have to think that was a factor, because what metrics are we looking at to justify, honestly, either of those teams getting in over West Virginia?
Well, they're looking at the metrics, the Ken Palms, the Wobbs, SOR, and North Carolina's in the 30s in that. So that's what they did. One of my bracketologist buddies that just did it totally on metrics without anything.
Mhm.
He said he scored like 10 points better than what he did. So
Wow.
so that just tells you that they just went straight down the road and picked. And I don't know at what point this has been going on for a few years now. At what point I heard Dan Gavitt even say it the other day. Well, yeah, when we get into the seeding, then we kind of lean more on the metrics. Well, why? Why?
Mhm.
I don't get why with seeding. I mean, to me, that's almost more important than putting a team in the field. Most people who watch any basketball could get, of the at-larges, they could get 30 of the 37 in the field. That's not a big deal. It's like where they rank. Shouldn't games count in that? I don't know.
How do you explain West Virginia?
Well, their explanation was because Tucker DeVries wasn't with the team. He was hurt like December 1st.
And their metrics post are better than if you just do the post Tucker DeVries, their metrics are better than about 6 teams that were in the same range of West Virginia.
Yeah, I mean they
made the tournament.
I understand if the guy gets hurt February 20th and you've racked up a pretty good resume, and then from then on you don't. You don't do anything.
Lose out or whatever.
The Kenyon Martin thing many years ago. Even the Cooper Flag thing. Had he been more seriously injured, then maybe you think about putting Duke down a notch or something. But this happened in December. Now I know he was their leading scorer, but still, when I watched them, even then, I didn't look at him like, oh my God, he's Cooper Flag
2.0,
the best, on that team. I thought they still had a lot of other nice pieces. So, that was their explanation, I guess. I didn't hear. Somebody told me that's what they came up with, which is just garbage.
6 quad 1 wins.
Yeah.
They got more quad 1 wins than 5 teams that are currently quad 1 and quad 2 wins combined than 5 teams in the tournament.
And here's the thing. Okay, so they're going to do the metrics thing. Great. But then you totally flip on your head.
Yeah.
Metrics with Memphis, St. Mary's, and Gonzaga. You should go on Bracket Matrix, the ones they have posted already. There is hardly anyone that had Memphis above a 7. They all had 7s and 8s. You go on the Memphis line, it's all 7s and 8s all the way across.
Well,
I mean,
what's the explanation for Louisville? Why do they go from pre-bracket matrix? They make the ACC championship game. They're slotted as the number 1-6. If they had beaten Duke, they probably would have been a 5. And they go to being an 8 and not even the top 8.
Yeah, well, so in a lot of brackets leading up to this, Louisville was like around a 7.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then I started looking at this and I'm like, well, Clemson's a 5, Louisville's a 7, and there's really not that much gap in between them. So then I moved Louisville up. If I just left them there, it would have been better. But got talked into it. Yeah, I mean, they didn't take anything. Look, basically the word is what we're looking at is they didn't take anything past Thursday into consideration. So if you made the conference,
hello Michigan.
Yeah, you're right. And gosh, I had Purdue as a 4 because there is a thing that on the reveal, if a team's in the top 2 lines, only one team has fallen out of the top 4 at the end. And so I was hanging on to Purdue. I got talked into moving Michigan.
So you have told us over and over again about how the conference tournaments are perceived. But if I'm Michigan and I just ran a 3-day run where maybe I was already slotted into my 5 before I ever played on Friday, what's our discussion about conference tournaments moving forward with teams that are already in the bracket and have a good seed?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've always thought, I know it's all about money, but I mean, I always thought the conference tournament was silly. I mean, it doesn't mean anything to the power schools.
I mean, look at Creighton.
Yeah.
Creighton makes it to the final. They're in 9. I mean, are you telling me they would have been an 8? Probably not. They probably would have stayed at 9, even beating St. John's.
Yeah. Well, then they get screwed because there's so many SEC teams in there. They were in the number 1-9. They should have gone to Wichita, but they couldn't go there because Georgia was there because Georgia couldn't go anywhere else. It's just whole thing.
Isn't it backwards though that the conference tournaments games after Thursday don't matter, but the ones before Thursday do matter?
Yeah, and I don't even know how much they matter though.
Well, I think it mattered a little bit with some of these SEC teams. Like I think Oklahoma winning like that probably played out well for them. I think Arkansas was probably favorable because they ended up Ole Miss beat Arkansas. But I mean, I don't know. It just seems like there's too many discrepancies
there's total
here.
inconsistency.
Total
always.
inconsistency.
Now, look, like even during mock selection, you could pick apart and go, well, wait a minute, you guys seem to like this, but over in this team, and I mean, sometimes their preponderance of what they did overtakes, what you're looking at. Well, there's no preponderance with North Carolina, other than the fact, I think they're going to win a couple games probably. I mean, they're capable. But, your point about Xavier is the same way. I mean, if you looked at a team the last 2 weeks, certainly Xavier, and maybe that's what they did is they looked at Xavier and said, hey, at least Xavier's beat 3 teams in the field, Indiana, though, I mean, Saturday night at like 1 o'clock in the morning, I had them out. Because I found a little metric in there that they ranked very low in, and that was taking the gold standard Ken Palm, pairing it up with the new shiny toy, the Wob, adding those together. And Indiana ranked very low. Boise was the worst. So then that really, that was the last nail in the coffin for them. But I was back and forth. We actually, Dave and I both, last second, we had Texas in.
Okay.
And he texts me, says, hey, we're kind of on an island of this one. I go, I know. I feel good about it. But he goes, I could see him just screwing another, not wanting 13 SEC teams in there. So, all right, well, I go, Xavier's really close for me. Me too. I go, all right, well, we'll flip. So we flipped them. And then they both come up together. It's just hilarious.
Tim Krueger joining us from Bracketville. You can follow him on Twitter at TK Brackets. Of course, all the content on Blue Jay Banter as well. What were your thoughts on Iowa State? Because they withheld the Gilbert injury history until after they were announced. They are a 3 seed.
I had them first 4. I kind of almost think that was lazy of me not to move them to 4, but I don't know. To move them to 4, but yeah, I paired those up with A&M, and I just thought A&M was slightly better, beating the SEC. But yeah, that's kind of dirty pool there.
Because are you required? We know the Cooper Flag stuff came out, and the NCAA responded, and then Grant Nelson, key injury at Alabama, and Gilbert not playing, but it's after they're announced as a 3 seed. That just seemed kind of
they were hiding it a little bit.
Yeah, but they're really a 3-4.
Yeah, but it's just like we're talking. I think when we look at injuries, they say injuries don't matter until they do. Like the Tucker DeVries one with West Virginia is mind-boggling.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a much better with injuries with Iowa State. You can see they've slumped,
without him.
And Lipsy's huge.
And he's supposed to be back.
Yeah, but those things linger,
Do you think there was any conversation with Auburn losing 3 of the last 4 that they weren't going to be the number 1 overall? I mean, you kind of talked about it in February or in January that they could,
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Especially with the Cooper injury, that kind of probably sealed it. I know the Florida fans are upset that we should be higher, but when you look at the 2 resumes, it's not even close. Auburn's better than Florida. I mean, Florida's a 1 seed. What are you complaining about? And their coach wants to go to San Francisco. That's where he's from. So they got what they wanted.
All right. So how did you do?
Yeah.
Oh, I add, this payment deal, you can add it up. You just kind of do it in your head and you add it up and you get a different score every time you add it up. I got 354. One guy just scored it and had 346. So and the first time I added, I had 348. Yeah, I'll go through it again. But I was really upset thinking, wow, everybody's going to miss a couple teams, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, God, this has got to be one of my worst scores ever. Not really caring about where I ranked or whatever. And I looked and I was actually better than last year. So I guess we're considering the year. I did do a brief one of some of I think Lenardi was about 360. DeCourcy did really well. If that was his final bracket that I found, his are harder to find, his finals. But I looked at some of they haven't scored anything, but the ones they had listed, I went down a couple of the major bracketologists, and they're all in that 345 to 350 range.
Okay, how will we determine, because the committee got the hardest part, giving us 68. How do we determine if the committee did a good job or not?
You can't go by game.
Yeah.
It's all matchups.
Not by upsets?
Yeah,
Do you think
Can't
because
Will they
by
get validated for having Carolina in the tournament?
Oh, they'll validate it. They'll say C. But no, not at all, because it's all about matchup. I mean, they got a great matchup in that slumping San Diego State team in the play-in, so they're probably going to win that one. And then they move on and they play Ole Miss. They can beat Ole Miss. Ole Miss can beat them too.
They can.
I wouldn't bet, if you were going to bet Beard versus UNC, I'd take Beard every time. But
so since 2011, the 11 seeds have had the second most appearances in the Sweet 16 amongst non-top 4 seeds. Do you think that trend of like those play-in teams and those bubble teams like doing really, really well over the last couple of years have almost given this committee like a validation that, hey, we're picking these correctly, like we're pretty consistently on the right line in terms of determining these bubble teams where they don't really care about the noise of who says what?
Yeah,
because it goes 5 and then it's 11. It's weird. Yeah.
It's not about who's the better team. By the way, so if you want all the stats, we did a selection show last night. Go to our YouTube channel, Blue Jay Banner. It's up there right now. Instead of doing bracketology some hour Saturday night, I went through and got a ton of stats. And some are pretty interesting. Like a 1 seed has made, if you're filling out your bracket, 1 seed has made Sweet 16 84% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
2 seeds 64. So you probably don't want to go off that very much. You're going to keep the 1s and 2s. Don't have upsets in there because they rarely happen. When they do, it's great to go beat your chest and say, hey, I picked that. But if you pick them in the next game, then you're going to lose 2 points versus the 1 you gained. So you're actually losing points to the field. 6-11 is the highest. It's like about a 40% upset rate. And then it's 7-10 and then 5-12.
I think the one that I found that I think was most interesting is that in the last 10 tournaments, only once has a team from the league that got the most bids has won the national championship.
Oh, that is interesting.
So for all you people out there who are thinking, 14 SEC teams, this is the best conference ever, this is incredible. Like, it just hasn't really, I don't know, the trends are just weird. It's just weird to trend this stuff.
So the 3 of the last 4 years, the winner of the Big Ten tournament has lost in either the first or second round.
And you know what? Michigan got kind of a tough draw.
They did. Yes. UC San Diego's legit.
Yeah. I mean,
there's a reason
Rocco
only
Miller's
a
been pumping them all
favorite.
year, and I kind of ruffle his feathers when I said, Dave and I watched that UCI and San Diego game, and we weren't very impressed. Well, it's the 3rd time they play. I go, Rocco, that happens in every conference, okay? I mean,
I like how you bracketologists snip at each other.
Oh yeah,
I like
big
this
fight. Big fight.
This is
yeah. So I thought they got kind of a screwy draw. I mean, for A&M's now no day at the park either. So yeah, and A&M's playing Yale. That could be if Yale can. I forgot about the golf being on today.
Yep.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Roy with a birdie on 16.
Nice.
Yale can dictate the tempo there. So that might be, and A&M struggles to score. So
James Jones, man.
There's a possible upset there. I don't know. This isn't a vintage Grand Canyon team, but that Maryland team is so good, though. They're so good. I wouldn't go there. Great playing games, Texas and Xavier.
That will be a really good game.
Take the over, okay? Take the over. There are going to be a lot of points scored in that baby, and there'll be a lot of points scored in that next one, whoever plays Illinois.
I think Xavier, Illinois.
I think Huss's draw is about as good as it can be expected. Purdue.
Watch out for High Point is going to be a problem.
Yeah,
they
could win the next game.
Yeah. All right, the easiest path to the Final Four and your national champion.
Well, I haven't really. I've got a couple. Like I love Houston. I love Duke. Florida's looking so good. I think of the 4 1 seeds, I think Auburn's probably the one I could see losing.
Mm-hmm. Duke's got a pretty easy road.
Bruce Pearl tends to do that. I don't know about the easiest path. I think probably Duke. I like the bottom of that bracket, though. It's got some nice, juicy matchups like Alabama, Wisconsin. That'd be a good game.
It would be an entertaining game.
High scoring.
Yeah, but Duke, the top part of that, juicy matchup in round 32. They were kind of rivals in the pack. Oregon, Arizona. That's a good one.
That would be a fun game.
Be great.
That would be a fun game.
But I don't know about the easiest, but Duke certainly has a nice path. Houston. Yeah, Florida just – the only thing I worry about Florida is they've just had such a long stretch of excellent play that eventually you throw in a stinker once in a while, right?
They had excellent play, and I don't know why the hell he had an 8-iron on 17. What was J.J. Spawn
into
doing?
The wind?
He had an 8-iron. He wasn't even close to the island green. Wasn't even close.
Well, he had it way to the right, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, but yikes.
Oh, there it is.
Oops.
All right.
When you're sleep on it and you're playing Rory, that's what happens.
We appreciate all of your fine work and your contributions, and now you can go back to sleep.
Oh, man, I'd love to. Thanks.
You going to Lexington?
I am not. I'm staying here. We're doing a pregame, like a little pregame thing before Thursday and Friday down at Let It Fly. So come down there. You'll see it. We'll kind of set up the day, and it worked out perfect. We can set up the day for Creighton, and you're absolutely right. That early game, if you lose that, it's like a sledgehammer because now everybody else is,
kind of bummed, right?
I love playing the second day.
Yes. That's why I was hoping Cleveland to play on Friday.
And what time's Omaha going off?
9:45 local time.
Nice.
Providence.
A nap at halftime.
I hope I take a nap after the game.
Yeah,
and, because
Gary, stay awake, Gary.
Yeah.
Have fun in Providence.
Why do you say it like that? I mean, our options were Cleveland, Wichita, and Providence.
Providence is a dump.
A lot of good Italian restaurants there. I'm looking forward to it. I've never been to Providence.
Nice. There's parts.
It's the NCAA tournament. Omaha's never been there. What am I to complain?
No, right. Exactly.
Yeah, I may go to Wichita anytime.
Exactly.
I can't go to Providence anytime I want.
It's a
to
goofy
Wichita
part of
for
the
lunch.
country to fly into, though. I've seen that before. I used to have to go out there for work, and we would actually fly into Providence to go to Mohegan. It was just the way it worked out, and then other people can't fly into Providence. I don't know.
I got my South O boys are telling me what mafia guys to hook up with in Providence. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
Joey Cold Cuts.
Well, give us a full report.
I will. Thank you. And
Thanks,
have
Tim.
a busy week, and good luck with all you bracketologists of just crushing the committee and trying to figure out what the hell happened.
We know what happened.
Well, I know, but you guys will ask the hard questions, and then you guys will have the more intense debates.
I know. I wish they would ask a hard question at the end. Seth was going to go there, and then he backed off. It's like,
well, because then it would hurt his carrying the water to have this tournament expanded to 76. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
That's Tim Krueger. You can follow him on TK Brackets. Of course, all the great stuff with the great group of people that are involved with Blue Jay banter leading up to the Creighton game coming up on Thursday in Lexington. Quick break. Come back. Evan Bland still to join us. This one's over. Hey, thanks for everybody showing up at TPC for 3 holes.
What a letdown.
They're actually going to show up for 2. There you go, Rory. Rory will become a favorite now at Augusta.
Oh, now I'm going to lose my money.